Hello! So today I am home alone. It's just me and Sam. He's sitting out there on the patio. I can be as loud as I wish. I can talk as loudly about things I hate as I want. And today we are discussing 5 book tropes that are really starting to get on my nerves, and I think they should just die off and disappear. Was that too intense? I'm sorry. I wanted to make this a chill video for once, you know. So book trope number 1, the tell-all narrative. This is when the author begins the book by telling us everything and anything that they want us to know about the characters and their environment and the setting. Or it could just be a background story dump, it could be an information dump, all in the first chapter or the first page I've seen. And I've been told over and over again while writing my book not to do this, and then I see it in published works. First of all, I want to give you a good example of this, which would be the Nancy Drew series. So the first book, the first chapter, Nancy Drew, an attractive girl of 18, was driving home along a country road in her new dark blue convertible. She had just delivered some legal papers for her father. Skip ahead. Her father, Carson Drew, a well-known lawyer in their hometown of River Heights, frequently discussed puzzling aspects of cases with his blonde, blue-eyed daughter. So already in the first couple paragraphs, we're told what Nancy Drew looks like. We're told that she's beautiful. We're told what her father's occupation is. But here, to be fair, Nancy Drew actually kind of does this the right way, at least for the time, because Nancy Drew, the first book was written in the 30s? So trends change, of course. This was a long time ago. That's a classic book. I only see this trope with third-person narratives where the author chooses to tell you everything as soon as possible instead of letting you take it through context, letting you understand it over time. Even in the second chapter, dump me with information all you want if it's necessary for the story, but if you're just going to tell me everything right away, there's no mystery. Book trope number 2, unnecessary romance in non-romance books. I see this all the time in YA titles, where the story is sci-fi, the story is thriller, the story is a little bit of mystery, and then you decide to throw in this romantic little subplot, this random character who shows up out of nowhere. If you can imagine the story going just fine without that little splash of romance in it, then I don't think you need the romance. A lot of the times, YA authors just put romance into the books to appeal to the audience. Maybe I'm just salty because I'm not a romance fan in most aspects, I guess. Here's an example of a good way to do that. The Face on the Milk Carton by Caroline B. Cooney. And the romance between the main character and her neighbor, boy Reeve, is actually important to the evolution of the main character. It's important to her personal story arc and how she this book is about this girl finding her identity and just growing up and facing herself and facing her past and her fears. And this boy and her relationship with him helps her with that. It's, of course, this book isn't an action book. It isn't about aliens or whatever, but that's a necessary romance. That's because it's a drama. It's a contemporary. In an exciting adventure book where maybe the main character is scared of romance, maybe they're just scared of intimacy, then throwing in romance in there would add conflict. But if it's a story which is good on its own and you're throwing in romance just so you can give the fans something to squeal over, and then maybe the two main characters don't even have that much chemistry, maybe they barely even interact, and they just say I love you and stuff. Okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't as a reasonable a pet peeve as I think it is, but anyways, that's a trope. I don't like it. And number 3, that gets on my nerves a lot is absent or abusive parents. And again, this is found mostly in YA books, where the main characters would be teenagers and their parents are either completely absent from the narrative or they're just really mean, really abusive, really neglective, which would lead, of course, to the main character being really edgy and stuff, which would be a big part of the plot, I guess. The reason this gets on my nerves is because it's not realistic, and I have a feeling it's just due to laziness. But, okay, hold on. The parents in my book are absent. Almost all parents are completely absent from the narrative of the book I'm writing. And let me explain. My book is a historical kingdom fantasy, okay? And the main character is an orphan, okay? So yeah, she doesn't have parents. And then the other main character, their parents are absent, but it's part of the plot. They're not gonna, I can't spoil anything, but they're absent because it's important for the character's development. It's important for the plot, because if the parents were there would be no plot, because these two main characters only meet, of course, because that one main character's parents are absent during the first arc, during whatever, you know. If you're writing a contemporary fiction, you know, a normal family environment would be needed, or maybe the plot is that the parents are abusive, then yeah, that makes sense. But if you're just leaving the parents out because you don't want to write parents, you don't know how to write adults that are like actual adults that care about their children. John Green does this right. John Green understands. He writes contemporary YA fiction, and he always includes the parents, and the parents are actually a big part of his books. The Fault in Our Stars, Turtles All the Way Down. Parents are a big part of the main character's journey throughout the story. I don't know, this isn't as big or as common a trope as the other ones, but I think that wherever it is, it needs to stop, only if it's in the case of laziness or just, you know, I don't know. I'm just rambling. This is a video about me rambling on a couch, so I hope you enjoy this. Number 4, book trope number 4, is the Mary Sue character. And this is when a character is the most perfect character in the story. They're always right, they're always morally good, and they just have everything together in their lives until they meet someone who doesn't have everything together in their life. And then they, the main character, impacts the person who is not perfect. Again, not super common anymore, I don't think. One of my favorite books ever does this. It's A Little Princess. It's a classic book. This is another instance where classic books were written in a different time, where tropes were different, trends were different. Other examples of this would be the main character being ugly until they take off their glasses, or it could be the whole world against the main character, oh, the poor main character. But really, the author is trying to make the main character perfect in an attempt to make them relatable, but it makes them less relatable, and that's why I don't like it. See, this is supposed to be a chill video, but I'm actually getting annoyed talking about the things that annoy me. Book trope number 5, the final book trope, is something that is probably in every book trope video on YouTube, but the love triangle. It annoys a lot of people, and it annoys me too, a lot. And it's probably maybe the most common, or the second most common item on this list. A popular example would be the Shatter Me trilogy, the Shatter Me series, where there's the main character and then the two main love interests, and it starts out okay, but then slowly over time it's pretty noticeable how the author of the series makes one love interest more desirable and the other more and more of a jerk to shift the reader's perspective to root for that one. Because the problem that comes from every love triangle is that the whole point is you're not supposed to know who's going to end up with the main character. But sometimes it's either incredibly unfair for those love interests. Like, who wants to love somebody who's openly interested in like 6 other people, or like one other person? It's either that, or one of them is a jerk and the other one's obviously perfect for the main character, but the main character is like, it just makes the main character so unlikable because they don't know what they want. If you love somebody, you love only them. You don't have eyes for anybody else. At least that's my belief. So it's annoying. It makes all the characters look bad, and it makes the author look bad, especially if they start changing the characters in order to reach some kind of a conclusion. Because when you set up a love triangle, you gotta take it to the finish line, or you just leave it open to interpretation, which is even more infuriating. So either way, the love triangle, everybody suffers, nobody wins. Stop putting love triangles in books, especially YA books. I want to read a book. If I'm going to read a romance book, I have read a couple that are good. It's going to be one character, the other character, they meet, and maybe they are not in a relationship at first, but I want to see a healthy relationship developing between these two people, a sincere, genuine relationship. And if it's like one girl and these 2 guys, or one guy and these 2 girls, which is less common, and the main character just somehow can't decide which one they actually like. It seems way too drawn out. So yeah, those are all the tropes that bug me. That's it for the book trope video, where I just rant on a couch. I know most of my descriptions of the books that I mentioned, were incredibly vague, and I know most of what I was talking about is just ranting. It's all just ranting, but I hope you enjoyed this anyways. When I record this, it's August, but you'll probably get this in September. I'm pre-recording a bunch of videos so I can focus on school a little more, because I'm going into grade 12. Very, very scary. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I will always be grateful to you guys for being such nice people and being so encouraging and actually, putting up with all the weird stuff I make and just whatever I do. So yeah, thank you. See you next time.